My name is Curci, and welcome back for another episode of Controller Conscience. Today, we don't have a lot to talk about because there is this lull that happens during the summer. E3 happens, we get kind of like that E3 fallout, and then it just gets into a lull. We had San Diego Comic-Con, but that's more for like movies and TV shows. And games kind of sneak in there, and there is some new information that we're going to be talking about. Some stuff we will be talking about that actually came directly out of San Diego Comic-Con. But I want to talk about the Destiny beta because that went live for everybody. It's no longer available now, but it was live for everybody, so I got to play it because I have an Xbox One. I don't have a PlayStation 4. And I have some opinions on it. There's also some new information that came out for it that I just discovered actually today. It's been out for a while, but I discovered it today. And my opinion may have changed, may not have, so we'll get to that. We'll actually kick off with that. There are some EA delays. In fact, the year of 2014 is seeming to be the year of delays. There are a lot of delays. In fact, what was actually weird is that, in a game that has in a year that has a lot of video game delays, which are good, because I actually like that when delays happen, because number one, it means developers actually care about the product they're putting out, and they're like, we just need more time to make this as good as it actually can be. So I like when they do that. It's pretty funny though, because Shadow of Mordor actually has jumped up the scale. It's now available in September. I think it jumped up like a week. I don't know the exact date, but it's no longer October. I think it was coming out in like October 7th or something. It's weird because Shadow of Mordor was coming out on the 7th, Alien Isolation coming out on the 7th, and then Dragon Age Inquisition coming out on the 7th. Now Dragon Age Inquisition delayed, and so was, not so was, but Shadow of Mordor has actually been advanced up the timeline a little bit. I don't know if it's just trying to get out of October, just trying to get away from that big mess of games, but whatever. So we are going to talk about a little bit of that. I want to talk about a little bit about some Halo news. We got some information from Comic-Con, RTX, some new stuff actually came out, and I just want to talk about that. And then Mass Effect, again, San Diego Comic-Con, they had a panel, BioWare had a panel where they talked about the game. We're going to talk about that. I want to kick everything off with this Destiny beta. It was available for everybody. What it was like you could play PvE, so you could play like a couple of, the missions, the story missions. So you'll start out, the way the game starts out is that you create your character, and then this little thing, it's called a ghost, which is voiced by Peter Dinklage. This little drone thing, he comes around. It resurrects you while you're dead. Doesn't give you any explanation as to why you died. You're just now, it's like, hey, you were dead, now you're alive again. And I'm like, okay. And here we go, let's go. And that's how it went. And there's some lore there, like it had like an interesting story, like the Traveler is that big orb, or big round thingy that's in the sky, and that has brought life back to the solar system. So there's like vegetation on Venus and Mars and all that good stuff. And Earth is sort of having its golden age, but they keep talking about this darkness, but they're not really elaborating too much on it. They're like, oh, this darkness, this darkness, this darkness. And they may have elaborated a little bit more on it. I just kept losing it because they did a lot of dialogue while I was in missions. And as we have learned from Titanfall, dialogue during missions may not be the exact best way to go about things. I will say that a lot of people have been saying that this game is awesome. It's the next best thing. And it can't be explained in words. It needs to be played and experienced. And I was buying that because I was like, I just don't get the hype. I don't understand what's so cool about this game, and I never played it. Now I have played it, and I can tell you, I can understand where the hype is coming from at this point. Like, I understand, like, there is something that this game has. First of all, it's a very pretty game. Nobody's denying that. In fact, if I've ever said ever, I know I said this during the Let's Play when I did the Destiny beta, which I think that there are more Destiny beta Let's Plays that are going to be coming out. But I did say it in the video where if I have ever said that Destiny was going to be a bad game, I couldn't have been more wrong. I never thought that this was going to be a bad game. I just don't think it's going to be a game for me. And I think that that's where people are at this point. It's either like they're all into it and they're like, oh, hey, let's go play this game. And then there are the people that are like, well, maybe it's not for me. But I recognize that it's a good game. I mean, there is some sort of value to it. It has like a Borderlands feel, kind of, really, but it's a little like objective based. Like there's more of a narrative to it. Like Borderlands wasn't really known for its story. Borderlands is more known for its gameplay. It's just I don't want to say mindless, but that's the word that comes to mind. It's just killing things, and that's kind of what I felt during the PvE. I was just essentially killing things, and then there was this narrative going on in the background where it was like, why am I here doing this thing? Why am I scanning these nodes? And I think the game gave me a reason, like, oh, this is why we're doing it. We're trying to investigate to figure out this thing, and I can't remember what it was because it's been a while since I played the beta because the beta's not up anymore. But it's just like maybe the story could be better. Like, it's all about the gameplay. In fact, Destiny is a social game. The developers have said, like, they want people to cooperate. They want you to communicate with your friends. Bring your friends into this game and just play it nonstop, raid, get some awesome loot and things like that. And while that's all well and good, it's just not the kind of gameplay I prefer to play because I've said multiple times, I don't like playing with other people. And the reason why is probably the same reason why a lot of people would prefer to play just with friends like I do, is that I don't like playing with people that are, let's say, for example, they're going to get mad at me if I do something wrong, or I'm going to get mad at them because they did something wrong. Or, I just don't want to run the risk of me playing with somebody who has no idea what they're doing. Let me say, it's easy to grasp Destiny, like the main mechanics. It's an FPS game, and so I think at this day and age, a lot of gamers, FPS games really come second nature to them. It's just like, oh, you shoot things, aim down the sights and you shoot them, and that's essentially what Destiny is. Now, again, it has like a really cool backstory, and I think that the story mode will have. I don't think it's going to be the strongest thing. Like, I don't think this game's going to win awards for its story mode. Again, this was the beta, but still, it's like I don't really think that this is going to be the next best. This isn't going to be the next BioShock Infinite or The Last of Us. No, this is just going to be a solely gameplay experience. It's more like an MMO, essentially. It has a lot of MMO-esque elements to it without actually being an MMO. You have to. It's an always online game. Essentially, you can't play on your own, and you'll bump into people here and there. Like in old Russia, they were saying like how, which is one of the main, or the only map, actually wasn't the only one because there was a moon mission available at one point, but you could play and there's like this public area and then there would be a bunch of people running around and then you can go kill some and get some like little objectives here and there, and this guy will come in and he'll end up be doing the same thing, so essentially he'll be helping you out, but then you like enter like where the mission is and it's sort of like you pass by like this zoning area, and I actually noticed this happen where it was like I was walking into the area at the same time these other guys were. Then all of a sudden they just like they dissipated or something. It was like I entered this instance, and now I was in it on my own. And so I mean, like the game allowed me to play by myself. Like it didn't force me to be like, okay, you had to play with everybody all the time. Now there was moments where it was like, okay, for this mission you have to play cooperatively, and I was like, damn it, I don't want to do that. Don't force me to play co-op. I almost didn't do it. I almost waited to the last day of the beta. I said, you know what, Rick? Just do it. Just do it. Just so you can say you've experienced it. So I jumped in. I got paired up with these other two guys, and then we went in and we had to set our ghost on this thing, and he had to scan it, and then there were like a series of waves that we had to hold out for, and I was like, oh, okay, that was an easy mission, and these guys aren't idiots. Like we died once, but it was okay. We came back and we actually beat it once we discovered strategy, and then we went from there. We went over to this big spider-looking tank thingy, like a beetle. It looks more like a beetle than a spider, and we had to fight that. Now it took us a couple of times. Now I kept getting frustrated because like, we knew the strategy to beat it. You had to shoot at its legs, and then when you destroy one of its legs, it like opens like this little hatch thingy under like right behind on its like its neck or something, and then you shoot at that and you'll get more damage. Now we were doing this, we were just sort of wheedling it down, like using bug bites and things like that, but we kept dying, like just like enemies would spawn and we would get caught off guard. And we played it the first time, like the first time there was like this little building and then there's two areas around and this thing is on like a platform right there. So the first time I saw this one guy go to the right, the one guy stay behind the snipe, and I was like, what do I do here? I have no idea where to go. Maybe I try to shoot him from afar. Then I discovered like I go up the left, and then the second time we played after we failed the first time, I knew immediately to go that way, and the other guy who went to the right actually followed me. We took out the enemies and we started like using cover over here and firing, and this other guy would have a sniper. He still kept going, and then we died again. And then at this point I'm like, all right, I'll do it one more time, and then we died again, and I was just like, ah! But eventually we were just, we were able to beat it, and it was so rewarding when we beat it. Almost like in a way like Dark Souls kind of does it, where like you keep going into it, he's beatable, like this boss is beatable, and you know how to beat him. It's just you need to get lucky that one time. Now, mind you, we probably made it a lot more difficult than we had to because we weren't actually communicating. In fact, when I jumped into the co-op play, I was just like, I don't want to communicate with you. The only reason why you're here is so that I can play this mission, so I can say that I played it. So what I did was I jumped into a party and then made it private, so I wouldn't hear anybody if they were even coming in. But apparently the game didn't have like an in-game chat anyway. That's the vibe that I'm getting. Again, I wouldn't know. So I wasn't communicating with them, and if we were, we probably would have been a whole lot better off. But eventually we did beat it, and then once we did, it was like super rewarding. Then we had to go fight this other boss, which was like this huge sphere thing. Now, we died once with him, but then we did it again, and I was just like, we beat him, and it was just super rewarding. Like, we were dancing on where the actual guy died, and it was fun. Like, I had fun. I was like, okay, yeah, Destiny is a good game. And if the game didn't force me to play co-op, I would probably like this game, because essentially, it has like a narrative. It has a reason for me to be doing something. I didn't pay much attention to it at the time, but there is a motive here. And so by me playing this stuff, and, if I want to play with other friends, I can. And it's like, oh, this is cool. And I had fun playing the beta. As odd as that sounds, as a person from me, I had fun playing the beta. So then I decided, all right, maybe it's time to go, multiplayer. And I was like, all right, cool. Because that's actually the first thing I wanted to do as soon as they started up the game. I was like, I don't care about PvE. I just want to do multiplayer. And then the game wouldn't let me. I was like, where's the option for multiplayer? Where do I go here? Then I discovered, like, you have to, like, level up to level 5 to unlock it. And I'm like, what? No. You don't require me to unlock multiplayer. I hate when games do that. They have you unlock a certain area of the game. Like, I get it if it's like story based, where it's just like you have to progress enough to actually get to this point so that you can get the perks from this point. But if it's like a mode, it's like, oh, there's a multiplayer mode in case you don't like single player, but you're gonna have to play single player anyway, even though you don't like it. I was like, no. I hated that. I hated it. You had to like level up to level 5, and then the game is like, all right, you level up to level 5. I had to look up how to unlock multiplayer. I had to go to this guy, get like an email or like an invitation from him or something. I forget what it was. But it was really weird how like I had to go to this guy to unlock it. First I had to level up, then go to the guy, and then go out into multiplayer. Now, the multiplayer, I said before that it doesn't have an identity. I'm wrong. The game does have an identity, and I think that's duly in part because of the fact that you have like jetpacks and stuff. And that it has like a verticality, sort of similar to Halo when Halo added in jetpacks. So it's like, oh, you see that rock? You can jump on top of that rock. Now, it's not incredible verticality, but you can like sort of elevate yourself and maybe sort of diverse the field a little bit. Maybe instead of just running around shooting at things on a linear level, you now can fly up and maybe shoot down, or fly up to this level and have a vantage point or something. So I think that added to it. So it was more like in fact, this entire multiplayer was very Halo-esque, which would kind of make sense because Bungie made Halo, and now they're making Destiny. So it kind of makes sense that these guys are having very similar feeling games, because like there's, for example, on the multiplayer map on the moon, there's a lot of vehicles around, and again with this like verticality with the jetpacks and stuff, it felt a lot like a Halo map, because Halo games have a lot of those vehicles. You have like Ghosts, you have Wraiths, you have Scorpions, you have Warthogs. In this game, you have Interceptors, and you have Pikes, and you have Sparrows that you can summon. So there are vehicles that you can use to your advantage. So it felt very much like a Halo game. So I was like, oh, okay, so I feel at home. And then it took me a while, and I eventually got like the feel for it. I think supers add a really cool, unique feel to the game, because it's sort of like a trump card. Like, let's just say, for example, I'm going to go capture B, but there's a lot of guys there, so I'm going to, like, sneak up. Like, hopefully they don't see me. Then I'm going to jump in and use, like, my ground pound super move, and then it'll clear the board, which I did do a couple of times, and it's a fun multiplayer. I played it several times. In fact, I played it all the way until the beta shut down. after I had experienced everything from the PvE standpoint, which was, again, the PvE was good, it was just not something for me. The multiplayer was more geared toward a player like me. It was like you can level up in multiplayer. I don't know if well, you can get rewards. I don't know if you'll get any of that because I've seen videos of the guys or the developers actually talking about like some really awesome rare drops. I don't know if there's a potential to get those kind of rare drops while playing multiplayer. You probably have to go do the specific quest for that. But again, it was like the multiplayer was good. It was one of the positive things about the game. It was a positive experience for me because I had fun playing it. It might have been because I was like, I wasn't horrible at it. I was actually pretty decent at it. Now, I don't know the difference between the PlayStation 4 beta as to the Xbox One beta. From what I've heard, they look the same, they feel the same, they're essentially the same. That's what I've heard from people who have played both sides of it. Mind you, if you want to get really technical with it, maybe the PlayStation 4 beta has a couple of more pixels than the Xbox One, but the Xbox One's at 900p. You can't tell the difference between 1080p and 900p. And on top of that, the retail version of the game, the one that's going to get released in September, the developers are striving to get to 1080p on the Xbox One anyway. So graphics, again, they don't matter to me. The quality of it doesn't matter to me. Again, I noted, pretty game. Regardless of it being overhyped, I think that the game will sell well. I think it will be a successful game. A lot of people are like, this is going to be a 10-year game. Now, I don't think it's going to be a 10-year game. Like, I don't think people are going to continually come back for this. Now, if this is the only game you put out, this is the only Destiny you put out, yeah, people are going to keep playing it, keep playing it, keep playing it. I don't think this is going to get a game that's going to eventually die off. It's not going to be like a Tomb Raider game where at launch there were a lot of people and then it sort of died off. Not like Splinter Cell Blacklist where at launch there were a lot of people and then it kind of died off. It's going to be more like a, let's just say, for example, a Titanfall. This is a new IP that's being introduced. At launch, it's going to have a bunch of people. That number may wheedle down, but it's still a relatively live multiplayer. Where, like, if I wanted to jump into Titanfall and I wanted to play a game of attrition, I'm going to get a game right away. And I think that that'll happen with Destiny. Now, if they don't have any Destiny sequels, like Destiny 2 isn't a thing for the next 10 years, and you have Destiny, then yeah, you're right. This will be a 10-year game. And the DLC that'll come out for it will really add to the experience. Honestly, what I think is going to happen is as soon as this game is going to launch, they're going to work on DLC, they're going to do this, that, and the other thing, and then I think later down the road they will develop a sequel, and then later down the road they'll develop a sequel. So over 10 years, I think that this will be a franchise that'll have multiple titles in it. Now, I think it will sell well throughout. I think it will be a game that sells well. As far as reviews go, I think it will be received as a good game. It's not going to be Game of the Year. It's not. There's no way. There's no way I think it'll be Game of the Year. Let's put it that way. Now, I want to talk about something here. Everybody has my basic idea. My opinion has changed. I still think the game is overhyped. However, I think that the game will still be successful regardless. I think that its multiplayer isn't identityless. It does have an identity, and there is sort of a unique kind of gameplay vibe to it in a way. But here's where Bungie starts to lose me. Earlier today, I watched a video talking about how we got more details on the end game raids that will be in Destiny. And from what I hear, they're going to be co-op. Like, you're going to have to play co-op, and it's a 6-player co-op. And I'm like, okay, I understood that the game has cooperative play. That's great. But then they said it's for friends only. There is no matchmaking for it. Come again? No matchmaking. No matchmaking for your end game content? And the way that they put it, it was like you need to have a team that works together. So it's forcing you to build a team. And I'm like, no. This doesn't make any sense. You're idiots. Stop. Don't. You take away matchmaking? Here's what we have learned in the past year. Let's use the Xbox One as an example. When the Xbox One launched, it had to release with the Kinect. There was no choice in the matter. You either bought the Kinect or you didn't get an Xbox One. People hated it. They didn't like the Kinect because the Kinect is not very responsive in terms of its motion capture. There was a whole lot of motion capture. I mean, yeah. And there was a lot of like controversy with the NSA and everything, and a lot of people were saying like the voice commands don't really respond. I like my Kinect because I only use it for my voice commands, because a lot of people say like, oh, it's really hard to navigate the UI, and I'm like, well, I use the voice command, so it's very easy for me to traverse the interface of the Xbox One. But also while I'm in game, I mean, it's a lot more convenient when I'm like, all right, Xbox record that or something like that, and the game will record a little snippet, a clip, which is pretty cool. And I always turn on and turn off my Xbox using voice commands. So I use my voice commands regularly all the time when I use my Xbox One. A lot of people don't. They unplug their connector as soon as they did it. But the point of this whole thing being is that eventually the Kinect was no longer required. They released a $100 less Xbox One, and they said, you can buy it now without the Kinect. And then prices doubled because of that. People like having the choice of doing one thing or the other. They don't like being forced into one thing. It's sort of like with the DRM thing, where like Xbox One was always going to be online and it was going to force you to be install only, and then people freaked out. They were like, well, that's going to get rid of used games. But I honestly think that the reason why is because they don't like not having the choice. They don't want to burn away their entire hard drive because they want to download a 50 gigabyte game on their hard drive, and then they can only fit like a few games on there before they got to buy a new hard drive. So people like to have the choice. And now Bungie is saying, by the way, the endgame content, unless you play with friends, cannot be played at all. Okay, I get it. It's co-op, and you're trying to be social, and you're building up these social relationships, and yeah, you're probably going to add some more friends to your friend list as you're playing through Destiny, because you're meeting with new people and stuff, and there are going to be some people you would like to play with, and there's going to be a communication thing that's going to come into play. But honestly, are you really going to take out matchmaking to force us to do that? Because then that's going to put players like me off. I don't like playing with people online. I do like playing with friends. There is no denying that I like playing with friends. The problem is I don't add people that I meet online to my friends list. I get a lot of requests, but I don't usually accept them because it's like, unless I know you in real life, either you're a family member, a coworker, or an actual friend, maybe from school or something, then yeah, I will invite you if you want to play, and we'll play some Call of Duty or something. But other than that, that's it. That's all who's on my friends list. It's just people I have met in real life. So the odds of them all having an Xbox One, all having Destiny, and all being online with a working microphone at the time of me getting to that end game and all of us jumping in at the same time, that is going to be very slim for players like me. And I think that's going to put off a lot of people. Also, it kind of reinforces the fact that why can't I just play by myself? So essentially what Bungie is doing is they're like, this endgame stuff is super hard and you need to coordinate. So we're going to take out matchmaking so we eliminate the possibility of you being paired up with somebody you don't like or somebody who's bad at the game. So let's just say, for example, I'm super bad at the game and my friends don't even want to play with me. So there's no matchmaking thing to reinforce that? You're limiting me. You're limiting me. This is not good. This is stupid. You're stupid, Bungie. Bungie, you're dumb. Reverse this. I guarantee you, Bungie will reverse this. And they will add in matchmaking. It just comes off as lazy development. It's just, I'm going on a rant here now. I'm like getting angry. Because it's dumb. It makes no sense. That's to why they're doing this. It's like matchmaking because we're forcing you to play with friends. No. Stop right now. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to reverse it and everybody's going to be happy because that's what you do. You are a game that's trying to sell games. So, basically, what it's going to boil down to is that I'm going to play through the game, I'm going to get all the way to the end, and then I'm not going to be able to finish the game. That's how it's going to happen, just because you're forcing me to do this thing. In fact, I was actually considering buying this game. I was actually like, maybe if I play with friends, this will be a game that I will like to play, like constantly. I'll go back and I'll play it again. But the way you're like, all right, by the way, we are forcing you to be only with friends. And I'm like, all right, I'm done. You lost me. A lot of people are like, they're like canceling pre-orders because of this. I don't know about a lot of people, but I've seen people commenting saying that they were going to cancel the pre-orders because of this. Which, again, every time the news has come out, somebody's going to be upset about it, regardless of what kind of news it is. Whether it's saying like, hey, we're going to give you free money. Somebody's upset about it. Just because of the fact that this is just a dumb move on Bungie, and they're going to reverse it. I'm so heavily convinced that they will reverse this. In fact, I'm predicting it now. Anyway, my basic idea of Destiny is that it's a good game. I think it'll be a success at launch when it comes out in September. I think it will have a really loyal fan base that will consistently play it. And I think that it will either A, be a game that will stay alive for 10 years, or spark multiple games that will go out throughout 10 years. And that's that. It'll be a game that I will play. It won't be a game that I will buy anymore because of this bull crap that they're pulling with the endgame stuff. And regardless of the fact that, the PvE was sort of not really my thing anyway. So the game's giving me more reason to not buy it. I still think the game is overhyped. It will, however, be a success. So that's enough about Destiny. I want to talk about the EA delays here. I want to talk about Battlefield Hardline and Dragon Age Inquisition, both of which were delayed. So we have Battlefield Hardline was actually delayed into early 2015. So we're probably looking at maybe like March, maybe even February kind of area. So this is the release that they said. This isn't an exact quote, by the way. This is just my summarization of what the post actually said. It says, DICE wants to rework the game utilizing feedback from the beta. Now, a lot of people have played the beta. They were like, okay, this is cool, but it's Battlefield. It's Battlefield at this point. So what that means is like, the way that they did it in the trailer was like, all right, here's the cops versus robbers kind of gameplay. And that's all cool. It's like almost like a Payday thing where it's like, I thought we were going to jump into the game, carry out a heist, and then this multiplayer thing was going to kick in. But the way, somebody else is saying this, they're like, all the cool stuff happens off screen, and then you play after all the cool stuff has already happened. Like the truck's already on its side, and now you go grab the money. The game boils down to, it's a capture the flag mode. The robbers go in, they capture the flag, and they try to race it back, and the cops just try to defend it. That's it. That's it. And also, a lot of people are like, the game is based in Los Angeles, or at least that one map was. There's nobody in Los Angeles. Like, just, it's dead. There's nobody there. So why not add bots to have like civilians or something? Like maybe not actual players, like no AI cops or anything, but civilians. Like, the cops don't want to kill civilians. Maybe the robbers can take civilians as a hostage and sort of make the game a little bit better. Also, DICE wants to rework the game. This game was being developed by Visceral Games. So why is DICE becoming a thing? And I think, or rather, what was being thought of was that maybe EA was like, all right, we're getting bad feedback because of the beta, because number one, the beta is just not doing well. A lot of people are giving us pretty bad feedback. Now we got to bring DICE in to save the day because Visceral obviously can't do it. I think Visceral will create a very good story element to it, which is the gameplay I look forward to. I know a lot of people, when they play Battlefield and they play Call of Duty, they don't really care about the single player story based experience. I do. So I'm actually looking forward to whatever Visceral has cooking up in terms of its single player, and I think it'll be pretty unique, but we've talked about this before. Now, as far as its multiplayer goes, it needs to be reworked from the ground up. It clearly needs to be reworked. And it needs to be unique. It needs to... Why do I buy Battlefield Hardline over Battlefield 4 or Battlefield 3? I mean, all three of those games are essentially the same game. There's no real unique feel. I thought when Battlefield Hardline was first announced that I was like, oh, okay, this is going to be a cops versus robbers thing. This is taking the Battlefield out of the military realm, and it's bringing it into a more modern setting. And I thought that's going to be cool, But it's Battlefield. It's just reskinned. It's modded, essentially. The modding community can actually create a game like this. In fact, they probably have already. It just doesn't make any sense as to, like, there's nothing unique. There's no reason. There's no hook. There's no hook for me to buy Battlefield Hardline at this point. And that's probably the main reason why it got delayed. It was just like, we need to create that hook. We need to create something so that people can, when they play it, they feel like they're playing a new game, something that is unlike anything you've ever experienced before. Something like a Destiny. Destiny may be something that is very similar to a bunch of games, but at its core, it's something different and unique and kind of fun to play. Something like Titanfall, where, every time I bring up first-person shooters, it's always I'm going to bring up Titanfall and Call of Duty and stuff. But those games all have their own feel, But Battlefield Hardline, while it's a Battlefield game, and yes, Battlefield has its own feel, this is like a new kind of IP sort of kind of thing going on here. It's not a new IP, but it's as close to new IP without actually being new IP. That's the way I like to put it. And there's nothing about Battlefield Hardline that's calling to me. In fact, I've talked to a lot of people who have played the beta, and they're just like, nah, dude, I'm not feeling it, which sucks. So hopefully them reworking the game, because I do like the Battlefield series. I want this game to feel unique, but if it doesn't feel unique and it's just, oh, capture the flag and then go back to base, and it's just, nah, I'll pass. I'll play it, but I'll pass. I'll rent it. It's sort of like, and now it's getting to the point of Destiny at this point. Although Destiny's not in a bad position like that. They're just stupid. Dragon Age Inquisition, however, is a different kind of story. You know, there was a gameplay, or rather, there was a combat trailer that got released a couple days ago, and I looked at it, and it was showing off like the tactical view and stuff, and I'm like, I'll probably play with the more camera behind the character, because that's more traditional for, a Dragon Age game for me. And, but the game was also like, oh, by the way, you can pause games, which is something that BioWare had done before. If you remember Knights of the Old Republic, way back in, I don't remember what year it came out. But if you remember that game actually had a lot of, you could pause the action, which was cool because then it was like, all right, you dish in all your commands and then spill it out. Now, that's sort of what's going on here with Inquisition. It's sort of becoming like a strategy game more than actually a role-playing game. Like, it's taking some really, like, the combat. And I'm like, I felt like indifferent about it. I was like, oh, that's cool. I don't really care, but that's cool. That's just what it came down to. Now, the game gets delayed a month. It gets delayed to November 15th, which is fine because you'll still get it when that huge primetime game period of releasing all this stuff comes out in time for the holidays. But they could be polishing the game. Like, maybe they're like, we can maybe make this better. Let's just make this. We just need maybe a month we'll do this. And that's all well and good. But then I started thinking to myself, like, or rather other people have been saying that I started thinking about is because Hardline got delayed over into early 2015, maybe Dragon Age Inquisition is kind of in a bad position at this point. Maybe they need more time and they were like, we can only delay it a month because EA, being as money grabbing as they are like, we need to have a game in this time period. There needs to be a game that comes out in November or in the fall. There needs to be a game there. And at this point, I'm like, uh-oh. Because are they rushing the game? Like, maybe they're not giving it the amount of time that it necessarily needs in order to become a good game. And then I'm just like, oh. Because this is sort of concerning me a little bit. Because I like Dragon Age. Mind you, I like Dragon Age Origins. I loved it. And I didn't like Dragon Age 2. Let's just say I didn't like Dragon Age 2. But there were elements of it that I did like that the sequel improved on the original. Now, the game, from all the combat and from the combat trailer, the game looks really pretty. I think the effects look really cool. Again, the game's running off the Frostbite engine. And so that's pretty awesome. But again, it's just maybe we're just being paranoid at this point. But what if EA's not giving the game as much of a time as it needs? Maybe because here's also The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt is coming out in February. And maybe they're trying to keep that game away. Maybe they're trying to keep Dragon Age Origins away from The Witcher. Because if The Witcher and Dragon Age Inquisition comes out the same time, Witcher's going to kill it in sales, and people are just going to go like, all right, Witcher, because The Witcher just looks like a better game. I'll get both because I like The Witcher, but I also like Dragon Age, and so I'm just like, all right, cool, I'll play both, but not everybody's going to be like that. Everybody's going to be like, all right, medieval-esque fantasy magic area, medieval-esque fantasy-like area, I'll pick The Witcher. Just because it just looks like a better made game than Dragon Age. Now, Dragon Age, I'm pretty sure it probably has a really kick-ass story. At least I hope it does. Because Dragon Age 2 didn't really. Again, it's just like, I'm worried about it. Because I want this game to be good. From what I've heard, I want this game to be good. I'm worried about it, though. And that's basically that. So, we got 2 delays from EA in both Hardline and Inquisition, and I hope both games just turn out awesome. So let's talk about some Halo news for a second. There was a Nightfall trailer that came out. This was the series that's being developed by, or being done by Ridley Scott, and it's taking place in between Halo 4 and Halo 5. So it's sort of bridging the gap. Essentially, the purpose of Nightfall is that it's giving us a background into Locke, who is, if you remember when or the title of Halo 5 Guardians was released, they released the cover art for it, which had Master Chief, and then it also had another Spartan. That other Spartan is Agent Locke, and Agent Locke is the main character of Nightfall. They're giving him a bit of a setup. And, he's being played by Mike Coulter, who is in Zero Dark 30, The Good Wife, $1 Million Baby. So he's got some stuff under his belt. He's not just some actor coming out of left field to do this role. But the basic idea of this trailer is that there is this element that kills humans only, and some terrorists are possibly getting a hold of it, or maybe some rebels. Because if you remember, Halo Reach, the game started like you fight the Covenant all the way through Halo Reach, and at no point do you fight anything but Covenant. But in Halo Reach, the first mission you go and you're like, oh, we need to go discover what's going on here with these insurrectionists. Because if you look up at Halo lore, the insurrectionists were the things that were fighting. They were like essentially rebels that were fighting against the UNSC before the Covenant came out of left field and were like, we're gonna kill you just because our religion. So it could be like there's, again, another rebel thing kind of brewing up, or maybe these terrorists. And this is an issue because, the Covenant are still around and they're still a threat. So this is actually really cool because the way that the Nightfall is or shot, the way that it was done is that it was designed like a movie, except it will be coming out in segments. So this is once again, part of the Master Chief collection that will be coming out in November. Which, by the way, Master Chief Collection is just perfect for me at this point because I've been putting out a lot of the story of videos, and by a lot I mean 2, and I am working on a 3rd one right now, and I think that will come out either before this or shortly after I release this video. But my Xbox no longer can do backwards compatibility with Halo games. It used to, it no longer can. So it was kind of annoying that, what I had to do is I had like an old hard drive and I switched it out and just killed the updates, and then they had like backwards compatibility. And I had to do the same thing for Halo 3 because for whatever reason my Xbox wouldn't read Halo 3. And I don't know why that was. It just said it couldn't read disc. I switched out the hard drives and all of a sudden they could read the disc. So now I can't play Halo 1, Halo 2, or Halo 3 on my Xbox anymore unless I switch out the hard drives, which is kind of annoying. So this Master Chief Collection that is bringing in 4 games. 3 of those games I'll be able to play on the Xbox One for the first... Well, actually, all 4 of those games I'll be able to play on the Xbox One for the first time. But 3 of those games are kind of annoying for me to play at this point. So it's perfect timing for me because I love Halo and I love playing those games, and seeing the whole HD remake of everything is pretty cool. But no, I mean, I think that Nightfall will be pretty cool. A lot of people are like, we should get a Halo movie. Well, here's your Halo movie. It's going to be cut up in a couple of parts, but I think eventually it will come out on Netflix because that's what Forward Unto Dawn did. If you don't remember, Forward Unto Dawn was the web series that came out that was building up to Halo 4. Now Nightfall is going to be the web series that is going to be building up to Halo 5. And likely whatever Spielberg is working on, that series is going to work up to Halo 6, most likely. And then that'll be the end of the Halo series. Probably not forever, but that'll be the Forerunner trilogy that we're going to be doing. Or is it the Reclaimer trilogy? I don't remember which one it is. Like they were like, oh, here's this trilogy, here's the Halo trilogy, and then here's the Forerunner trilogy. I forget which one they coordinated to which. I think this one is right now. Halo 4, 5, and 6 are going to be the Forerunner trilogy. I think. I digress. In addition, I talked a little bit about the Master Chief Collection. There was a cinematic trailer for Halo 2 Anniversary. It looks awesome. Now, I don't have any illusions. First of all, if you want a base of what this looks like, it looks super awesome. It looks really close to what Spartan Ops graphics look like. If you remember the cinematics for that, it looks really close to that. In fact, no. Actually, if you remember the opening scene of Halo 4, the opening cinematics, those are cinematics. It's all CG. It looks almost live action. I think we're at this stage in the game now where CG almost looks live action. And I couldn't tell. I was like, is that live action right there, or is that CG? I couldn't tell. And I think that that's where we are sort of with this Halo 2 Anniversary cinematic trailer. I couldn't tell if it was live action or not. Obviously, the aliens, the elites, and they have like the Arbiter, and they had the Shipmaster. I don't know if he has actually. I'm sure he has a name. I don't know what it is. He's the guy with like he's got like because the elite's got like this thing going on here, and this guy has like he's only got like half of them. I don't remember his name, but I think that if people played Halo, they know who I'm talking about at this point. Um, but no, I mean, I think the Arbiter looks badass. I think Johnson looks really cool. Johnson and Miranda Keys both getting a complete overhaul, and they look a lot better. Because I played Halo 2 because I had to put out the video for the story of. They look like crap. I'm sure they look good at the time, but they look like crap. Like the lip syncing is all weird. In fact, this was a conversation or not a conversation I had, but it was a conversation I had overheard, was that, with the Halo Combat Evolved anniversary, the cinematics were better, but they were kind of weird, and the guy was like, oh, it was their lips, and I could totally understand it. They were over exaggerating with their lips a little bit more than they had to, and it'll just look kind of unnatural. This is a lot more natural, obviously. But again, I don't think there's no illusions here. I don't think there's no way the game's going to look that good. There's no way a Halo 2 anniversary is going to look almost live action. It's not going to look like that. The only thing I don't like about the whole overhaul that was actually happening was that everybody looks awesome, the Arbiter and everybody, except for Cortana. I think Cortana looks kind of weird, like not all that great. And was odd for me was like they were making Cortana not be like she was in Halo 4. It was weird. It was like, wouldn't you want to make her a little bit more like what she is in Halo 4? And she doesn't even look like what she did in Halo 1, which even after the anniversary still doesn't look anything like that. So this is like a Cortana that doesn't look any sort of iteration of Cortana, be it Halo 4, the original Combat Evolved, or even the redone Combat Evolved. It doesn't look like it's just weird looking, and I don't like it. But I am excited, really, really super excited for Nightfall because I want to see more about this Locke character. I want to see if he'll actually be possibly a protagonist or maybe even an antagonist in Halo 5. And also, I'm super excited, super stoked for the Master Chief Collection, which is going to be coming out in November, which I will buy the crap out of because of all the perks that come with it. The Halo 5 beta, Nightfall, the 4 games in one disc, and then the 4,000 gamer score, and then all the multiplayer maps. It is just going to be awesome. I'm super excited for it. So let's go into Mass Effect real quick. Mass Effect had a San Diego Comic-Con panel. And first of all, they took questions. Like they showed off, here's what they showed off was, they showed off the heroes, and they were human heroes. They had like the N7 armor and everything, and plus they stated that they were human heroes, so we had the male and the female. They were all like geared up, and they were all masked up and everything, so we didn't get to see their faces, but they just showed off the models, and I'm like, all right, I don't care, but all right. And then they showed off the new Mako. Now, people were really excited about the Mako being brought back. I didn't like it in the first game, but it had like a level of explorability to it, so I was like, oh, okay, this is kind of cool. So they're bringing it back because when they keep talking about this next Halo game, when they keep talking about this next Mass Effect game, they're always talking about exploration. They're like, you get to go to places you've never been before and explore. You get to exploring exploration. And, they're using the Mako. Obviously, they're bringing it back. But I'm like, at this point, I'm wondering, are they more concerned about exploration or are they more concerned about story? Because story is kind of what made Mass Effect. The kick-ass story, the kick-ass character development. That is what has made Mass Effect what it is today. So, why are they always talking about exploration? Like, I get it. Like, the game kind of got away from exploration as it went on throughout the series. And now they're bringing it back a little bit. And they're using this Mako. Now, first of all, let's talk about the Mako. I mean, the Mako is the Mako, and it has like a new design. It doesn't have weapons on it. It's just used for exploration. And I'm just like, cool. I don't care, but cool. This entire panel was them going over stuff that I was like, cool. That's awesome. What you're showing is not bad. I just don't care. You want to know why I don't care? Because I don't even know what the name of the game is going to be because I'm not allowed to call it Halo 4. In fact, they started taking questions pretty early on. In fact, almost the entirety of the panel is them taking questions. And what happened was the first person stepped up and they were like, is Halo 4 going to take place in what time period, before, after, or during Shepard? And they were like, it's not called Halo 4, damn it. Well, then what is it called? Tell us what it's called. We don't know what to call it. The next Mass Effect game. What do we call it? What? Stupid. Why are they being so secretive about this? I don't understand why there is a necessary... I mean, I get it. Like, a lot of... It's sort of like with the Batman versus Superman movie. Like, they release things and then they're just sort of like, here's this, here's a picture, here's that, just to sort of keep themselves in the news. And I think that's what the BioWare is trying to do with Mass Effect. But come on, you need to prioritize a little bit. Tell us the name, then show us off this stupid crap like the Mako and stuff I don't care about. But that way you're saying in the news there, sort of like what Halo 5 did, or really not Halo 5, but what Halo did in general, because I don't know if it's going to be available for the Master Chief Collection or not. But they were like, oh, by the way, here's the Master Chief Collection. Here's Halo 5 Guardians. We told you the title. Oh, here's a Gun Mongoose. Or the Gun Goose. Whatever it's called. It's just like, oh, cool. I don't care, but cool. But they're staying in the loop, I mean, they're putting stuff out. But they prioritize. First, they told us what the name of Halo 5 was going to be. Then they told us about the Master Chief Collection. And then they're doing this thing. So it's like they're prioritizing the way that they should be prioritizing. And Mass Effect is doing it backwards. They're showing a lot of stupid stuff without even telling us what the game is going to be even called. I don't know. I mean, and first of all, why would you take questions if most of the answers are going to be, we can't talk about that yet? I swear to God, the entire time, it was like, the first question was, what time period was it take place in? And they're like, oh, we can't talk about that yet. We can just tell you that it doesn't include Shepard and that you'll be going to places you've never visited before. No Sherlock. But, I mean, and they were just like, all right, well, can you play as anything that's not human? And they were like, we have entertained that idea, but we can't talk about that yet. And then it was like, okay, well, are we going to be seeing anybody from the previous game making cameos in this game? And they were like, we've kicked around the idea, but we can't make promises yet. And it's just like, why are you taking questions if most of what you're saying you can't, or most of the questions being asked, you can't answer? It makes no frigging sense. You're idiots. I mean, you're not idiots. First of all, I'm pretty sure you're going to make a fantastic game. I love you, BioWare, but come on. You're being dumb when it comes to building up this game. And also, why can't you show anything? This game has been in development for about 2 years. Mass Effect 3 was released in 2013. It got all of its DLC out of the way. You've been developing this game for at least a year. Why can't you show anything? Because EA was able to DICE and EA were able to pound out a teaser trailer weeks after acquiring the rights to Star Wars so that they could tease Battlefront. But you can't do that with this next Mass Effect game. You can't even give us a title. You are this far in development and you have no idea what your story is going to be based on. So here's what I'm saying is that, like, Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3, there's no subtext to it. But if this game isn't Mass Effect 4, it's going to have a subtext to it. It's going to be Mass Effect : something else. So if it were me and you're writing this story out, you should have the majority of your story, if not completely, written out by now. From there, you could derive what your actual title is going to be. Mass Effect Rebellion or whatever. I don't know. I don't care. Mass Effect Exploration. Whatever. Tell us that. Tell us what the game is called. In fact, the teaser could have just been like, oh, here's a ship. Oh, and there's a mass relay. Mass Effect Exploration. That's all you had to do. Just tell us that there is a game coming. You don't have to show off anything that you've been working on. Just create a stupid little CG trailer for us to friggin' look at. And you're not doing that. You're being dumb. BioWare, Bungie, both of you are being dumb. Stop it. Anyway, so thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time.